Hey guys, welcome back. This is the supplies that we have so far. So this is all 1/2 inch plywood. It's 4x8, 4x8, and then another project panel over on the side, which is a 2x4. And I had the cuts done at the hardware store. I got these at Lowe's, and they do free cuts, same with Home Depot. But cut here to make it easy. Second cut on one board, and then we have a longer cut down the lengthwise of this one. And for lumber, this is all kiln dried, so it's a little lighter than what I had previously, and it's not pressure treated, which is good. These are all marked out for cuts as well as the plywood. If you can come in a little close, you can kind of see where the lines are. For a lot of the cuts that we're planning to do on the table saw, the slider track's not long enough, so we improvised and clamped a piece of wood down that's going to be a makeshift slider for the circular saw. We already measured the distance to the blade thickness, but you just put it here, rip it down, and it works just as well for the cuts that we can't fit on there. So let's get to it. Clean it up later with sandpaper, but that's about it for now. Cut everything into its associated panel, but obviously just like this, here, all of these panels need to have some slight cuts on them. I have 5 boards I need to do miter cuts on. So these two, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then that one's the last one. These don't lock down as well. It's not the most reliable saw, and this is also, even in the channel, it's a little loose, so I don't trust it. So instead of trying to be really careful and use the table saw and likely have some room, some air involved, I'm gonna stick with my method that I've been doing here. Lock this down, just go right across the line that I need to cut, and I already adjusted the saw 22.5 degree angle on each side, so it meets up to create a 45. I used 80 grit for the actual lumber. For all the plywood cuts, I'm using 220, just doesn't splinter too much. The lines are very faint, but I'm cutting out 2 sections for easy access into storage spaces. I'll be using a jigsaw for the cuts, but due to the fact that it's just an interior portion here, in order to start the jigsaw inside, I'll be using a drill bit with a 3/4 inch hole. Great workspace I have going on right here. Just did my first pocket screw as a test. Looks really good. Does not come out the other side, so you can independently do the boards from what they're being connected to. This is a Craig pocket screw jig. Got it off Amazon. It is the cheapest one you can get, but based on this first cut, works extremely well. So we have the front insert going to the passenger seat, rear top, rear structure that gets bolted to the middle structure. There's the two spans on either side, one will get inverted, and some extra plywood. And cut a steering wheel tray. Let's So this is the rear section that's attached to the middle section with these bolts, and then the bolts have a turnbuckle on them that connects to the rear portion of the seat, and that locks not only the middle portion down but also the back portion down while underway. I have these truck tie downs that fit the bolts for the front seat, and this allows the front structure to be secured to the frame of the car. This is one side. It is a turnbuckle that you can tighten on either side, coming from the bolt on the structure to a loop that is attached to the car. The second method that I used was just a ratchet strap and truck bed tie downs to the front seat. Both systems work well, but I personally think that the turnbuckles here are more secure and minimal. So you could do the same up front. I was just experimenting with different methods. I'm messing around with two different configurations here. One, this seems like a lot of work, and for not the best system of attaching this, I need a secure hinge point on the middle, especially for this side. But I experimented with using these. What I don't like about this setup is that it does rattle a bit. It's although it works for the purpose, there's definitely a better way and that I have in mind. I only did one side like this, and that's where this hinges nicely in and locks in. But for the other side, I'm gonna try removable hinges. It's just like it's like a pin and a socket, and you would just basically slide it right in, and then it would keep it so you still have access to this portion. There are a few things that are relatively obvious, but I do them for a reason. The hinges in the back, those could be concealed with a certain type of hinge that's mounted on the underside and then comes up in the middle, has the hinge slightly visible on the top, similar to this. But just for price, I went with the cheaper option because it works for me. If you're more concerned about aesthetics, you can easily make this look way better. So after you get the general structure and dimensions, you'll be able to have kind of freedom with how you do hinges, finish, paint, everything really. I mean, it's just dimensions that you're getting with this. So the purpose of these span pieces and why they have these holes in them is so when you move the front seat forward, and also put it in the most upright position. These are just regular straps. You could use paracord, whatever rope. I made mine for straps, and that's why these are oriented this way. You can just make them circular by using a drill and some rope, depending on what kind of look you want for your vehicle. I just went with straps because I already had them. loop this around. And again, this will be on a hinge, so when it's here, the hinge isn't going to do most of the supporting, it's just keeping it in place. The supporting is done by this. It's the 2x2 and the 0.5 inch plywood. So this system will be implemented on both sides. This also has the notches in it. I don't use it for when I have the front insert in the car, but if you were to take a trip with 2 passengers, which I frequently do, I would take the front insert out, put the front seat in, the passenger seat, and then use this same strap system on the passenger seat. And that's just, you remove the hooks here, take these out, and then the front insert can be removed. Coming over to the driver's seat, when this is in typical driving position, it's about here, and I'll hop in to show you. So this is the position I typically drive in, and with that, you can have this going here, a little high. It's better for storage when I'm not using the car. So instead of just using my dash to dry stuff, I can put my gloves, stuff like this on here. But I typically use this when I'm sitting in the car, for my laptop goes this way. Most of the customization comes from the actual steering wheel. You can move the steering wheel out, down, and up, and in conjunction with the top. There's a lot of customization involved. I tend to keep it pushed all the way in and all the way up, so I have the most room for my legs when I'm moving around my car.